It's pretty wild watching how some people just explode online. Like suddenly they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's really the story with Darren Watkins Jr., who everyone knows as iShowSpeed.
Right, Speed?
I mean, this is someone who went from, what, streaming games in his room
Pretty much.
to getting mobbed by fans in China? China. It kind of makes you stop and think, how does that even happen?
It's a fascinating case, truly.
So maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't, but we thought we'd dig into it, try and figure out the key things that took him from being a teenage gamer to this global name.
Sounds good. Because on the surface, it can look like just, well, pure chaos.
Exactly. But is it? That's what we want to unpack. What's behind this whole phenomenon?
And that China tour really hammered home just how far his reach goes. It's quite something.
Okay, so let's rewind. Where did it all start? Like ground zero.
We're looking at around 2018. He started out streaming NBA 2K.
Okay, standard enough. Lots of people stream games.
True. But what made him stand out even then was his energy. It was completely over the top.
Right. Not just playing, but like living it.
Totally. Think, huge facial expressions, shouting, jumping around, just raw, unfiltered reactions.
Dialed up to 11, basic.
All the way up. And it felt very immediate, very intense. You weren't just watching gameplay, you were watching him react, loud and clear.
And he's stuck mainly to YouTube initially, right? Not Twitch, which is where a lot of gamers kind of start.
Yeah, that's interesting. Focusing primarily on YouTube early on might have actually helped him.
How so?
Well, it potentially avoided splitting his early audience, He could build a really solid base in one place using YouTube's tools for community stuff.
Right, concentrate the fire, sort of.
Exactly. Build that core following first. Seems like a smart play looking back.
Okay, so intense energy, YouTube focus. That's the start. But then things really accelerated.
Yeah.
What drove that huge, viral growth?
There were a few key things working together, I think. First, those reactions we talked about, that perceived authenticity.
Perceived. So maybe not always 100% real.
Well, that's the debate, isn't it? With online performance, the line gets blurry. But whether it was fully genuine or amplified for effect,
It worked.
it absolutely worked. Those big emotional displays, they're compelling. They kind of hook you in emotionally, even if it's just shock or laughter.
It makes sense. And he was putting out a lot of content, wasn't he? Especially early on.
Oh, definitely. Consistency was huge, showing up regularly, streaming often. That builds loyalty.
Gives people a reason to keep coming back.
Precisely. People knew when to expect him, and that helps build a dedicated community around you.
And then there's the way his stuff just seemed perfect for going viral.
Absolutely crucial. His streams are like gold mines for short, shareable clips.
Right. Those moments you see all over TikTok or Twitter.
Exactly. Those extreme reactions, the crazy comments, the unexpected stuff. It's all perfectly packaged for short-form video.
Like little bite-sized explosions of speed.
Pretty much. Often under 15 seconds, big emotional peak, maybe a funny or shocking end. That's prime viral material.
And those clips basically acted like ads for his main channel.
A massive discovery engine, yeah. Draws tons of new people back to his longer YouTube streams or videos.
Okay, but we also have to touch on the controversies. There have been quite a few bumps in the road.
Yes, that's definitely part of the picture. And it highlights something about the attention economy we live in now. Meaning that sometimes even negative attention, like controversy, can massively boost visibility. It cuts through the noise.
Gets people talking, even if it's bad.
Right. It's a risky game, obviously, lots of potential downsides, but it can undeniably increase notoriety.
A double-edged sword, for sure. And then as he got bigger, he started interacting with, actual celebrities. Right. Especially sports stars.
Yeah, those interactions were like pouring fuel on the fire.
How so?
When a big name, someone with their own huge fan base, interacts with you or collaborates,
You get exposed to all their fans.
instantly, it's massive cross-promotion. Suddenly, people who'd never heard of iShowSpeed are seeing him alongside athletes they follow.
And speaking of athletes, we kind of have to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, absolutely. You almost can't discuss Speed without mentioning Ronaldo.
He went beyond just being a fan, didn't it? It was like this defining obsession.
It really became a core part of his online identity. Very loud, very public, almost performative devotion.
But that really clicked with people, right? Especially Ronaldo fans.
Massively. There are millions of Ronaldo fans globally. His constant over-the-top support for Ronaldo gave him an instant connection to that huge community.
They shared that passion even if Speed's version was amplified.
Exactly. Watching Ronaldo's games, freaking out, wearing the jerseys, it created this shared experience.
And that video, when he finally met Ronaldo, that thing got insane views.
Astronomical. It showed just how invested people were in this whole storyline, this parasocial relationship he'd built. It pulled in viewers way beyond just gamers.
It was like the climax of a long-running show for his audience.
In a way, yeah. A real payoff moment that broadened his appeal significantly.
Okay, so gaming, viral clips, Ronaldo? But he didn't just stick to that, did he? He started branching out.
Yeah, diversification was key for keeping things fresh and growing further. His travel content, for instance.
Right, going to different countries.
Which created this whole fish out of water dynamic. His high energy personality clashing or engaging with unfamiliar cultures.
Often pretty funny seeing him try new foods or struggle with the language.
Exactly. And that vulnerability, that willingness to look a bit lost, actually made him kind of more relatable in a way.
Then you have the challenges, the stunts, eating spicy stuff, doing physical things.
That taps into something really basic in entertainment, right? Watching someone push their limits, do things you wouldn't, vicarious thrills.
And music. He actually put out songs.
Yep. Tracks like Shake and World Cup, they got real traction online.
It's not just a streamer anymore.
It's about building a brand, reaching different audiences, and his collaborations help there too.
Like with KSI, Mr. Beast, The Sidemen.
Yeah, linking up with those huge creators, incredibly valuable, massive audience sharing.
Okay, which brings us to maybe the most surprising expansion, China. That recent tour seems like a huge deal.
It really was a milestone, generating that much buzz in China, given how separate its internet ecosystem often is.
Yeah, YouTube isn't really a thing there in the same way.
Exactly. So his success there points to something more universal in his appeal.
So why did he take off in China, do you think?
A few things seemed to work. One was just cultural curiosity, maybe? His unfiltered reactions to seeing China were entertaining for locals.
Like seeing their own culture through fresh, very energetic eyes.
Right. And the language barrier wasn't just a problem, it actually became a source of comedy.
His attempts at Mandarin.
Yeah, the effort, the misunderstandings. It was funny and seemed to come across as, genuine effort rather than mockery. Plus, his overall enthusiasm was just infectious.
He seemed genuinely excited to be there.
And that positivity likely went a long way. It didn't feel cynical.
And even without YouTube, clips of him just spread like wildfire on Chinese platforms.
Totally. Weibo, Douyin, Bilibili. The content was just so shareable. It found its way. Shows the power of truly viral moments.
And he got treated like a major star. Media coverage, huge crowds.
Absolutely. It was full-on celebrity treatment. The online buzz translated into real-world impact there.
So what specifically about his style clicks so well with Chinese viewers?
That's interesting. Maybe his extreme emotional openness was fascinating. It's quite different from the cultural tendency towards more public restraint there.
And a novelty, perhaps.
Perhaps, or a vicarious release. Plus, China has a massive gaming community, so that connection was already there.
Yeah.
But I think a big part was that respect through engagement idea. Despite the craziness, his attempts to engage with the culture probably felt sincere.
Trying the food, trying the language.
Even if clumsy sometimes, the effort counts. And his outsider's perspective, his unfiltered take on everyday Chinese life, offered a fresh, maybe even funny viewpoint for locals.
Holding up a mirror, but a really hyperactive mirror.
Something like that.
So if he can succeed like that in China, what does that mean for his brand globally? Is the sky the limit?
It definitely shows massive potential for truly global reach, well beyond the usual Western internet fame bubble.
It connects across cultures somehow.
That core energy seems to translate. But of course, going global isn't easy.
Challenges.
Oh, yeah. You have to navigate way more cultural sensitivities, different rules, different expectations in every market. It gets complex.
What works in the U.S. might bomb, or worse, offend somewhere else.
Exactly. Big opportunities, but also big risks.
Now, all this, it looks chaotic from the outside.
Mm.
But there has to be some serious organization behind it, right? This isn't just happening by accident.
Oh, absolutely not. To maintain this level of output and manage this kind of global presence, there's a business operation there.
It's not just YouTube ad money.
Far from it. Merch is likely huge clothing, branded stuff.
Right, you see his logos everywhere.
Sponsored content, too. With his reach, he can command top dollar for partnerships.
Okay.
Then live events, appearances, meet and greets. Those can be very lucrative.
And the music revenue adds another stream.
Yeah, from streaming, maybe using ads. It's a diversified portfolio built around the speed persona.
So wrapping this up then,
Yeah.
how should we understand this whole iShowSpeed phenomenon? What's the takeaway?
I think he represents maybe a new kind of internet celebrity built on this extreme hyper-personality, but one that proves adaptable, connects globally through raw emotion.
And that feeling of authenticity, even if it's dialed up.
Yeah, it highlights how much audiences value that, or at least the performance of authenticity. And the China success is key.
Shows that kind of content can cross borders.
Right. The exaggerated reactions, the physical comedy, that sheer enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It bridged cultural gaps in a way few manage.
It's kind of wild to think of him as like an accidental cultural ambassador.
It's a provocative thought, isn't it? You can debate the value of the content style itself.
Yeah.
But his ability to genuinely connect with such different audiences worldwide, that's undeniable. It says a lot about where online entertainment might be heading.
Well, love him or hate him, you definitely know who he is. He's made himself a very recognizable and very loud voice online.
That much is certain.
All right, well, that was a deep dive into the world of iShowSpeed. Hopefully that gives you some things to think about regarding his rise and what it means for online fame today.
Yeah, fascinating stuff to track.
Definitely something to chew on about how culture and entertainment are shifting in this digital age. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.